The OPCW was all that stood between humanity and the terrible, terrible curse of chemical weapons. They did this by never taking sides. They never assigned blame. They came, they analyzed and reported not what they thought, but what they knew. Not who, but what. There was never any reason not to trust it. You can't argue with pure science. It was utterly impartial, objective, apolitical. It was past simple.
It is highly likely that Russia was responsible.
We do hold Russia culpable
For the attempted murder.
It was always a technical organ where consensus prevailed, and now we see that it is completely politicized, with a politicized agenda from various parties. We want the OPCW to get back to where it was before.
Wasn't enough for the OPCW to present facts. Some wanted opinion too, political opinion. They wanted to give the OPCW ultimate power to blame, to sentence and condemn nations.
We look forward to receiving the IIT's first report in the near future. It will then be for us, the state parties, to decide how to respond.
The IIT is a crucial and necessary means of identifying the perpetrators behind these horrific attacks.
We cannot accept impunity for these horrible crimes.
Other nations are putting their foot down. Why, they ask, would you want to destroy the essence of what made the OPCW so special, so trustworthy? And are you doing this in the interests of humanity or for your own personal ambitions?
As we know, this whole attribution mechanism adventure was started to put pressure on Damascus. A number of this mission's investigations, including the last one which made headlines, the incident in Douma on the 7th of April 2018, have convinced us that we cannot take the special mission's conclusions at face value.
We also refuse the funding of this team, and we refuse to grant it access to our confidential documents provided to the OPCW and the Security Council, and therefore we reject any reports issued by this team.
I reiterate India's principled opposition to the attribution mechanism due to the manner in which it was set up and in disregard of India's concerns on the substance as well as the process.
They couldn't have picked a worse time to give the OPCW a judge's mallet. Multiple OPCW insiders have sparked a huge scandal, alleging that the organization cherry-picked the facts on the alleged chemical attack in Syria last year to suit a political agenda.
After passing through the ceiling and impacting the floor at lower speed, the cylinder continued an altered trajectory until reaching the position in which it was found.
The first whistleblower said that the gas canisters used in the attack were likely placed at the scene rather than dropped from the air.
Observations at the scene of the two locations suggest that there is a higher probability that both cylinders were manually placed at those two locations rather than being delivered from aircraft.
OPCW excused itself by saying that it took into account other reports, not just his. Then, a second whistleblower struck, a veteran who was on the ground in Syria collecting samples. And he went one better, or worse, describing political pressure, secrecy and potential fraud.
Most of the Douma team felt the two reports on the incident, the interim report and the final report, were scientifically impoverished, procedurally irregular and possibly fraudulent.
All he wanted was a little transparency, to be able to speak at this conference where the vote is taking place, to set things straight. All he got was a letter from management telling him no.
I would like to reiterate that I stand by the impartial and professional conclusions reached by the fact-finding mission.
At the end of the day, every country in that room is going to have to decide for themselves whether to let the OPCW play God, to blame, accuse, and condemn nations and governments, to be the excuse that sparks wars, to give that power to an organization which doesn't even have the trust of its own employees.